Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Radco. I'm James Alvarado, and today I want to talk about the debut record from Wildlights. This is a two-piece heavy rock band out of Wilmington, North Carolina, featuring members Jason Shy, who you might know from ASG, and Johnny Collins of Thunderlip. Now, this record has been quite a long time coming if you're a fan of the band, so background. Back in 2007, I got wind of ASG's Win Us Over album, and I fell in love with that thing. That was one of those where has this been all my life kind of experiences. And I remember just picking up every single riff off of that thing and may or may not have uploaded it onto YouTube. Anyway, I was an obvious fanboy. And back in those days, it was, MySpace. Everybody had their top 8. And I remember, maybe a year after Win Us Over came out or whatever, on ASG's top 8, Crusades appeared on there. For those unfamiliar with Wildlights, they used to be called Crusades. And I remember going to that page and they had 2 tracks on there, 2 demos, and one was a track called Anchors and another track called Crusades, and it's now called Onward and Upward. It was like ASG. It had the hooks and maybe a little more pop sensibility, and the guitars were big, it was raw. They were demos, but it still had that power and heft behind it. And I dug that a lot too, and I ended up getting a few more demos from that time of the band. Thanks Collins for answering your emails. But I dug that and listened to that for a while until they came out with their debut EP, New Year Repeat. And you had some slight production changes from the demos to there, but the song sounded great, and I ended up really enjoying that EP a lot. And since then, another band named Crusades popped up and was maybe a little more active and got quite a name for themselves as well. So Crusades changed their name to Wildlights, and here we are with their debut album. So 6 of the 12 songs in this thing are carryovers from their New Year Repeat EP. So I've been listening to half of this album for years now. And, I'd like to be able to have that new car feel approaching this album, but I can't help but have, listening to these songs for years now inform how I feel about this album now. So fair warning there. But as far as new tracks go, you got some real gems in the tracks. Pictures, Climb the Throne, and Big Frontier. The track Pictures is, super heavy, just tones, showcase. And then Big Frontier, if I had to give one song to somebody to sample this band, and it can't be Onward and Upward anymore, it would probably be Big Frontier. But then you got some of the new tracks like Rebel Smiles and Lights Out, which I didn't enjoy as much. To me, the tracks just take a really long time to get traction. And part of that I think might be due to the drumming on those songs. Like at the end of Rebel Smiles, I just really wish the band would have grooved that outro out a little more, a la a band like Crowbar or Down. But other times the drums work great, like on the track Part of the Sea, where the drums sort of contrast Jason's more patient guitar playing. Or then you have other great moments like on the track Pictures, where the drums are interplaying between the guitar leads on there. And as far as the guitar goes, I'd say tone-wise, it's Baroness meets Torch. I think this band takes a lot of influences from those bands too, so it makes sense. But it really shines on like the aforementioned Big Pictures and Big Frontier. But then you've got the holdover tracks that it's great on too, like Anchors, which just provides a real running start to the album. And it sort of like has a maybe a rhythmic disassembly of the track that comes around after the second chorus there that I really like a lot. As far as lyrics go, ASG has gotten some criticism for having, Christian themes in their lyrics, and I think that carryovers here. I assume Jason Shy is a Christian himself, and to me it's not a big deal. If that's much, topical stuff you have in lyrics in this sort of genre of like the occult or the end days or something, in some ways this is just as much, if not more, against the grain than that is. And on the lyrical front, the tracks Onward and Upward and Hellfire Forever are probably my standouts out of the track list here. Now let's talk about production. So Matt Hyde produced this thing, who also produced the last ASG record, Blood Drive, as well as the aforementioned Win Us Over, also Crusade's previous EP, New Year Repeat. He's also done some bigger bands as well. And one of the criticisms I think ASG sort of got around the Win Us Over days was just how slick the band sounded at that point. That Win Us Over record sounded really, really clean and well produced, maybe overproduced a little bit for the genre. And I dug it, but I could see how it could turn some people off who dig this kind of music. So coming off that record, I think ASG responded with Blood Drive and made that thing sound a little less clean and produced and a little more rough around the edges, which is fine. I thought it sounded great too. And here in Wildlights self-titled, I feel like they found a nice balance between those sounds. The tracks still breathe, and the songs aren't nearly as compressed as the last Torch record or the last Kylesa record, which we'll talk a little bit more about next week. Overall, it's kind of tough to get back into super objective listening mode when I've been listening to half these songs for years, but the new tracks are solid, and for the most part, the production was on point. Shy still knows how to write some killer riffs, and more importantly, some killer songs. And I really like the way the drumming comes out on this thing. It provides a different sound and a different feel to this band that sets it apart from other bands in the genre. So I'm feeling a 7 on this thing. I like it a lot. but I have a hard time calling it essential unless you're a real big fan of the stoner, doom, and sludge genres. And if that's the case, then I feel like this is definitely something worth checking out. It's something different sounding. It has a more pop-infused vibe to it. What did you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments below. You can reach me on all social media at radco, or check out the website, radcompany.com. You can email me at contact@radcompany.com. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.